My name is LEVY and I'm 48, I'm married and I have 4 boys. I lead the lung transplant program at Sheba, and I think what we're going to talk about today is about my experience as a doctor, as a combat doctor in Gaza, following the October 7th events. So on October 7th, I think, like all of us, I was shocked, devastated, felt very frustrated, and in many ways helpless. And even though my role as the director of the lung transplant program at Sheba is very impactful, very important, and I know I have an obligation to my patients here, I felt like it was not enough, or I felt that I might be contributing more in the battlefield. Like many other doctors, we all go through training as combat doctors, and following following October 7th, I decided to re-volunteer again to reserves because, as I said, I'm 48 and doctors serve till they're 45, sorry. So that's why I decided to volunteer. The problem was that I had to keep in touch with the hospital because of my role here. And at the beginning of the war, it was forbidden to take phones into Gaza. So although there were many units that were looking for doctors, I wasn't able, they were not able to accept me. It changed over time, I think, and at some point they were so desperate, they said, okay, come with your phone and join us. And I joined the Geffen. Geffen is the training course of all the combat officers in the IDF, and I went into Gaza with them for a period of about a month, and I think it was, you know, for me it was much easier than being at home, or and it was even more than that. It was inspiring, and like, I'm 48, they were in their 20s, 21, 22, in officers training, commanders. And I don't think that many people at my age get the chance to spend a month 24/7 with people, or with kids who can be the age of their children. So it was interesting experience in the sense that, you know, you kind of sneak a peek to their lives and what they're thinking about, or how they and you know, there is a kind of a generation gap. But I felt that, or I was surprised to find people who were very mature, very responsible. I know that they might not represent the average, but it was really a good surprise. It was inspiring to see how professional they are, and they were talking about like their readiness to sacrifice their lives. So it was on one hand hard to hear, on the other hand it was really something that I felt was very strengthening to me. And what I didn't realize, that my presence, first as someone who's grown up, like the age of their parents, and secondly the fact that I'm a doctor, which always gives some, you know, comfort. So in many senses, they found me as a source of comfort, and you know, we were like going to bed together, or waking up, or eating, and going to the battlefield together. And in the middle of the night, when they were like doing their service, and I would come with a coffee or tea and just sit with them and you know, ask them how they're doing. I found that they were much more open with me than between themselves. maybe like they were talking to their parents. And I only when we went out of Gaza and I got the feedback from them, mainly WhatsApp messages, with messages saying, I don't know how I would have managed without you. So it was, it was a surprise to me. Like they're doing their job, it gives you the opportunity to just observe, and it's very interesting to see. And I think that what I didn't realize, that after a month being with 20 soldiers who are the age of your kids, you become more of a father figure, a friend, and I actually forgot that I'm their doctor. And I realized that when just the night before we were supposed to leave, we went out for our last mission to clear an area that was invested with terrorists. And the plan was to go into one of the buildings and set an ambush there, and to just look out for terrorists. And before you go into any building, you send the first force to clear it up. And it was in the middle of the night, around midnight, and we were like, the unit was standing behind a wall, and then 4 or 5 soldiers with a commander went into the building. And then like we start hearing shooting. And so the first force, a commander and 3 or 4 of the soldiers went in. We started to started to hear the noise of shooting, and we realized that something was happening. And then we get on the radio contact the report that the commander is down, and then the second soldier is down, and the third. And I think that like this was the only maybe or actually the hardest point of my service there, because I suddenly realized that they could get killed. And I think that I forgot that over that month. I felt so comfortable, and the first thought was, I'm so sorry for coming here. Like, it was such a mistake. I shouldn't have come for this miluim, for this reserve service. And the second thought, and this while the shooting goes on, and it's a split of a second, like all these thoughts. The second thing was that I was thinking about, what am I going to tell their parents? Like, I'm responsible for them. I'm the babysitter. So, and the third thing was that I was praying that no one will die. Like, I remember praying that no one. Now, it maybe went on for 20, 30 seconds, and then we were called to the scene. So the commander, which is one of the combat soldiers, just shouts at me, "Doctor, we're going in." And I remember, like, he's 22. I'm 48. I'm married. I have 4 boys. I'm heading a department. But it was obvious to me that he's my commander. Now, I was following him for a month, and there was no question. Like, he said, we're going in, and I can see the bullets all around, and the explosions, and the noise. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is dangerous. But I'm running after him with the 2 medics with me. And after all this had ended, I went to him and I said, well, you got maybe the best compliment you can ever get. I think that if you had asked me, I would say that I would never run after a 22-year-old boy into a battlefield just because I got a command to do it. And I think that it just expresses the security or the confidence that you gave me. I trusted you. And we went into the scene, and I remember, it's so funny looking back at and thinking about it. I'm going in, like, we're like ran into the scene, and the shooting comes from one side, and I remember telling to myself, my vest, my bulletproof vest, is open on the sides, so maybe I should just turn around. And again, it's like you're in the middle of a war. Like, if you turn around, it's not going to help you. It doesn't matter. And it all stopped. It all stopped the moment I saw the first soldier laying on the ground, and it was amazing. I would say that I don't think it changed my attitude or the way I conceive my patients. I think that in the hospital, the relationship between the patient and the doctor is very constructed or very clear to both sides, and you can be compassionate, you can be empathetic, and still you don't identify with the patient, or you know how to there's keep distance between you and the patient, and it's actually very helpful to you because you can think clearly. I think with the soldier it was much harder to see them suffer, to be so concerned, to be so busy with the thought that you might lose them. I wasn't ready for that. So there was a battle between the doctor in me and the person, and the father and the friend in me. So I think that this was something very unique and very painful, and actually very frightening in a way, because these kids actually were able to get into my heart, where I try to keep patients away from, because otherwise you cannot do you cannot work as a doctor, you cannot do this role. It's very hard. Usually, I eventually were very lucky, and we didn't lose any one of these soldiers, and they were injured. They were brought to Sheba, and they were in the rehab for a few months, and I got to still spend time with them, and to kind of follow them through their rehab process, which was very very healing to me and for them. And I think that when you're there, and once this battle ended, and I was very happy, I was very satisfied that we didn't lose anyone. But I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I realized that I was a bit post-traumatic, in the sense that I experienced something, a very frightening situation. Not the battle itself, not about being killed. This was not. I think I was maybe concerned about that, or with that, for a while. But the main issue was that I kind of found myself dealing, or saw aspects in me that I usually don't meet on a daily basis. And it's hard, because we also treat soldiers in our roles in the hospital. And after I came back from Gaza, and to my work as the lead for the lung transplant program, we received two soldiers who were badly injured, both of them in a tank, who got got hit by an RPG, an anti-tank missile.
What type of injuries did they come in with?
And they suffered severe burns, and on and a very severe and irreversible lung injury, and they were hospitalized for 3 or 4 months, and were mechanically ventilated and connected to ECMO, which replaces the work of the heart and the lungs. And they eventually did not recover their lungs, and the only hope they had was a lung transplant. And they did undergo a lung transplant, which I think is the first 2 cases in the world of combat injuries of soldiers who survived the injury and were able to stay alive without functioning lungs for 3 or 4 months, and then have a successful lung transplant. And you know, in this case, like these 2 soldiers yesterday were discharged from our rehab, from returning to life. So I'm dealing with the war in many different angles. As as an Israeli who has family and lives here, as a combat doctor who treats soldiers in the battlefield, and as a physician in the hospital who gets the maybe some of the most severe cases of injuries.